The camera cuts to a sleek, dimly lit studio. The walls are lined with framed photographs, Beyoncé at Coachella, Grammy red carpets, and intimate family portraits from decades ago. There's a faint hum of a microphone testing in the background. Mathew Knowles sits across from the host, a man in his early 40s with a calm but probing presence. Mathew's hands are clasped, resting lightly on the polished wood of the table. There's a nervous tension in the way his shoulders hunch forward. He smiles politely, but the smile doesn't reach his eyes. Host, leaning forward slightly, voice gentle but firm. Mr. Knowles, over the years, you've shared so much about Beyoncé's incredible journey. But there's one name we rarely hear from you. Tina Knowles. Can you tell us how she's shaped the path you and Beyoncé have taken? Mathew freezes mid-breath. His knuckles whiten on the table. The studio lights seem suddenly brighter, almost piercing. He looks away for a fraction of a second, eyes glancing toward the photos on the wall. One frame catches his gaze. A young Beyoncé smiling beside Tina, arms draped lovingly around each other. Mathew, voice tight, almost controlled whisper. I'm not sure this is the right time to talk about her. Host, softly, sensing tension. I understand, sir. But even just a glimpse, the role she played in your life and Beyoncé's life. Before the sentence is finished, Mathew stands abruptly. The chair scrapes sharply against the floor. His face is a mixture of frustration, pain, and a trace of shame. The host instinctively leans back. Mathew, firm, final. I think we're done here. He walks off camera. The sudden silence is deafening. The crew exchanges uneasy glances. The camera lingers on the empty chair, the still photographs, and the echo of a conversation that ended before it began. The screen fades slowly to black, the echo of Mathew's words lingering. I think we're done here. And then, the narrator's voice cuts in, slow and deliberate. When the name Beyoncé is spoken, the world listens. Her talent, her power, her presence, nothing short of iconic. But behind that icon, there's a family story, layered with pride, tension, love, and unspoken truths. A story that even the brightest spotlight can't fully illuminate. On one ordinary afternoon, an interview that seemed routine turned into a revelation of human emotion, restraint, and a private world rarely glimpsed by the public. Mathew Knowles, Beyoncé's father, abruptly ended the conversation after a single mention of Tina Knowles, Beyoncé's mother.
Why?
What is it about that name that caused a man so accustomed to the public eye to step away mid-interview? And what does it reveal about the family we thought we knew so well? Today, we're going to uncover the story behind that moment. The story of love, tension, and choices that echo far beyond the stage and red carpet. A story that may never be fully told, but one that, moment by moment, leaves a mark on everyone who witnesses it. The camera pans across archival images. Mathew smiling with a young Beyoncé at a local talent show, Tina adjusting her daughter's costume, and the iconic Destiny's Child era. Each frame tells a story of ambition, resilience, and complex family bonds. This isn't just a story about a famous family. It's about human emotion, pride, regret, and the moments we choose to reveal or conceal from the world. What you're about to see is a reconstruction, a cinematic journey into the conversation that ended abruptly, the history that led to it, and the emotional stakes that lie beneath every word unspoken. The screen fades to a quiet shot of Mathew's office, sunlight streaming through the blinds, dust particles dancing in the light. A clock ticks in the background, each second building anticipation. And so, we begin. Not with the stage, not with the music, but with the man who held so much of the story in his hands and chose, at one point, to walk away. The scene opens on Houston, Texas, in the late 1970s. The streets are alive with the pulse of Motown on the radio, a city full of possibility, yet shadowed by struggles common to working-class families. Mathew Knowles, mid-20s, sits on the front steps of a modest brick house, hands clasped around a coffee mug. His eyes are steady, but there's a flicker of worry, ambition pressing against circumstance. He's young, determined, and already imagining a future where music isn't just a dream, but a lifeline. Across the street, Tina Lawson, as she was then, steps out in a crisp blouse and jeans, holding a baby wrapped carefully in a pastel blanket. Beyoncé, just a newborn, sleeps quietly, unaware of the weight her presence carries in the lives of the people around her. Mathew rises as Tina approaches. There's a warmth in their interaction, a tenderness beneath the early career stress. But there's also tension, subtle, almost invisible to an outsider. Small disagreements, differing visions for the family, and clashing personalities quietly simmer beneath the smiles. Tina, ever perceptive, notices his furrowed brow. "You're thinking too much about the future and not enough about the now," she says softly. Mathew looks at her, a mix of frustration and affection. "The future won't wait for us, Tina. I have to make sure she has everything I never did." It's in these early moments that the foundation of Beyoncé's upbringing is laid. Ambition balanced with love, control balanced with care. Every decision Mathew makes is calculated, yet filtered through his human imperfections. Tina, with her artistic sensibilities, is often the emotional counterweight, grounding him, guiding Beyoncé, and quietly shaping the young girl's extraordinary instincts. The scene shifts to the 1990s, Destiny's Child's early days. Rehearsals in cramped studios, late nights in Houston recording sessions, and the whirlwind of auditions mark the start of something monumental. Beyoncé, now a teenager, moves through the world with a discipline beyond her years. Mathew's presence is constant, hands-on management, strategic planning, and a protective vigilance that borders on rigidity. Yet tension persists. Behind closed doors, Tina sometimes questions his choices. How much control is too much? How does ambition balance with family? These questions are never voiced publicly, but they linger, shaping every interaction. There's a quiet evening in the Knowles household. Tina sits at the kitchen table, a sketchbook open, while Beyoncé rehearses vocal runs in the living room. Mathew enters, reviewing contracts and schedules, his brow furrowed. Tina looks up, voice calm but pointed. "Mathew, she's your daughter, not your project. Don't forget she's still a child." Mathew exhales, tension rolling off his shoulders. "I know, but the world won't wait for her. And neither can we." The emotional complexity is palpable. Love, ambition, pride, and worry collide constantly. This is the crucible that forms Beyoncé's unshakable drive, but also the undercurrent of strain between Mathew and Tina. Fast forward to the 2010s, after Beyoncé has become an international icon. The world sees her triumphs, sold-out tours, record-breaking albums, global influence, but the family dynamic remains layered. Mathew, now more seasoned, often reflects privately on decisions made years ago. Moments of pride are tempered by guilt, moments of joy shaded by regret. Tina, meanwhile, has found her own voice, both as a designer and a mother, asserting boundaries with a subtle firmness. In this period, the question of whose influence shaped her most becomes charged. Interviews probe for drama, curiosity, and revelations. Mathew is increasingly cautious, protective of the family narrative, wary of questions that could expose private tensions or mischaracterize history. This is the context in which the interview occurs. By the time he sits in that dimly lit studio, the years of love, conflict, ambition, and human imperfection have built up silently. The mere mention of Tina isn't just a passing reference, it's a trigger, a reminder of choices, regrets, and emotions that the world rarely sees. The story of Beyoncé's rise is inseparable from the story of her parents, two people who shaped her in ways both visible and invisible. Mathew's ambition, Tina's artistry, and the love that bound them, fraught though it may have been, created a force unlike any other. Yet, behind every public triumph, there lies a private tension, a history that even the brightest spotlight cannot fully illuminate. And so, when a name is mentioned in an interview, it's not merely a question. It's a key, a reminder, a crack in the carefully maintained veneer. What followed that day was not just an abrupt ending, it was the culmination of decades of family history, choices, and emotions, all colliding in a single, unforgettable moment.